The Empire had ruled the galaxy for 12,000 years, their ships numbered in the millions. Their world stretched across 100,000 star systems. They had crushed 17 different species who dared to challenge them. They had turned entire civilizations into slaves. They believed themselves to be gods among the stars. Then they found Earth. High Commander stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Dominion. The massive vessel was larger than most cities. Around him, a fleet of 3,000 warships waited in perfect formation. Below them, a small blue planet rotated slowly in the darkness of space. "Such a primitive world," said with disgust. "They have not even colonized their own moon. How disappointing." His second-in-command, a tall female named, brought up the holographic display. It showed images captured by their scout ships, humans walking on streets, humans driving vehicles powered by burning liquid fuel, humans staring at small glowing rectangles in their hands. "They call themselves humanity," reported. "They have only had space travel for less than a century. Their fastest ships would take years to reach even their closest neighboring star. They are divided into hundreds of small nations that constantly fight each other. They have nuclear weapons pointed at their own kind." Laughed. It was a cold, cruel sound that echoed through the bridge. "A species that threatens to destroy itself. How fitting that we will save them from that trouble." They had a simple system. When they found a new species, they gave them a choice: submit and serve or be destroyed. Most species chose to submit. The ones who did not were turned to ash. Their planets were stripped of resources. Their history was erased. Within a generation, it was as if they had never existed at all. "Open a communication channel to their largest nations," commanded. "Let us inform them of their new place in the universe." The message was broadcast across Earth on every frequency. Every television, every radio, every phone and computer screen showed the same image. The terrible face of High Commander, with his gray skin and black eyes, looked down at humanity like a predator examining its next meal. "People of Earth," spoke, "I am High Commander of the Empire. We have claimed this region of space as our territory. Your world now belongs to us. You will surrender all your governments to our control. You will provide workers for our mining operations. You will serve the Empire in whatever way we require. If you refuse, we will reduce your cities to dust. You have one rotation of your planet to respond." The transmission ended. Leaned back in his command chair, completely relaxed. He had done this dozens of times before. The response was always the same: panic, confusion, and then surrender. These primitive humans would be no different. But on Earth, something unexpected was happening. The nations of Earth had been enemies for centuries. They had fought wars over land, over resources, over ideas. They had threatened each other with weapons that could end all life on the planet. They had built walls and armies and pointed missiles at each other across oceans. All of that changed in 1 hour. Within 60 minutes of the broadcast, every major world leader was in communication. Old enemies sat at the same virtual table. Generals who had planned to destroy each other were now sharing information. Scientists from rival nations began working together. The entire planet united with a speed that seemed impossible. "We do not have the ships to fight them," said one general. "We do not have the weapons to hurt them," said another. "Then we will build them," said a scientist. "Give us everything you have, every secret project, every hidden technology, every resource, hold nothing back." And for the first time in human history, they did exactly that. 20 hours passed. On the bridge of the Eternal Dominion, waited for the surrender he was certain would come. Instead, he received something else entirely. A single transmission from Earth, just 2 words. "We're coming." Stared at the message for a long moment. Then he laughed again. "The fools. They think they can fight us with their primitive rockets, destroy their largest military installations, show them what happens to those who defy the Empire." The fleet moved into attack position, weapons powered up, targeting systems locked onto cities and bases across the planet. They were prepared to demonstrate the terrible price of resistance. They were not prepared for what happened next. From hidden bases across Earth, missiles launched, not the slow, clumsy rockets they had observed. These were different. They were faster, much faster. The sensors barely had time to detect them before they struck. The first wave hit the outer edge of the fleet. 30 warships vanished in nuclear fire. The explosions were so bright they could be seen from Earth's surface with the naked eye. Rose from his chair in shock. Impossible. Their weapons should not be able to reach us at this distance. Commander's voice was shaking. These are not the weapons we observed. These are something else, something they were hiding. On Earth, humanity had kept secrets. The public knew about NASA and space shuttles and rovers on Mars. They did not know about the underground facilities. They did not know about the experimental engines. They did not know about the weapons designed to defend against threats from beyond the stars. Every nation had pieces of a puzzle they had never shared with each other. Now, in the face of extinction, the puzzle was finally complete. More missiles launched, then came the ships. They rose from hidden locations across the planet. Sleek, dark vessels that looked nothing like the space shuttles humanity had shown to the world. They moved with speed and power that should not have been possible. In hours, they had produced a fleet that would have taken the years to build. But it was not enough, not against 3,000 warships. Recovered from his initial shock. They have surprised us, I admit that, but they cannot win. They are still outmatched. Destroy them, destroy everything. The battle began in full. Weapons tore through the human fleet. Ships exploded by the dozens. Human pilots died by the hundreds. They were winning just as had known they would. But the humans did not stop. Every time a ship was destroyed, another took its place. Every time a pilot died, another volunteer launched. They fought with a fury they had never seen. They did not retreat. They did not surrender. They attacked with absolute determination, even knowing they would likely die. Why do they keep fighting? Asked in confusion. They must know they cannot win. Did not answer. He was watching the battle data with growing concern. Yes, they were winning, but they had lost 400 ships already. 400, against a species that had achieved space travel less than a century ago, against a planet they had dismissed as primitive and weak. Then the human fleet did something unexpected. They stopped attacking the warships. Instead, they turned toward the Eternal Dominion itself. They are targeting the flagship, reported. Defensive systems engaging. The flagship had shields that could withstand the weapons of advanced civilizations. It had armor that could survive a nuclear explosion at point-blank range. It was the most protected vessel in the fleet. The humans hit it with everything they had. The first wave of missiles was stopped by the shields. The second wave weakened them. The third wave broke through. The fourth wave struck the hull. Warning alarms screamed across the bridge. Hull breach on decks 7 through 15, an officer shouted. Shield generators failing. Engine power dropping. Could not believe what was happening. His flagship, the symbol of power, was being damaged by humans, by the species he had dismissed as barely worth conquering. Then came the final transmission from Earth. It was not from the military. It was not from any government. It was from ordinary people all across the planet, men and women and children, all speaking with one voice. Two simple words that echoed through the communication system of the Eternal Dominion. We're coming. Looked at his sensors. The human fleet had taken terrible losses. More than 2/3 of their ships were destroyed, but the survivors were still fighting, still pushing forward. And on Earth, more ships were launching. More missiles were being prepared. More humans were volunteering to join the battle. He had seen many species fight, though. Some had surrendered immediately. Some had resisted for days or weeks before accepting their defeat. None had ever fought like this. None had ever made the bleed. Commander said quietly, "We can still destroy them. We have the firepower, but our losses." Understood what she was saying. They could win this battle, but at what cost? Already they had lost more ships than in any engagement in the past 3,000 years, and the humans were not stopping. They were not even slowing down. They fought as if death meant nothing to them, as if the survival of their species was worth any sacrifice. And then he realized the truth, a truth that made his cold blood run even colder. This was just one planet, one world. If humanity had hidden these weapons, these ships, these capabilities, what else were they hiding? What would they become in 10 years, in 50, in 100? They had built their empire on fear. They had conquered species who knew they could not win, but humans were different. Humans did not seem to care if they could win. They only cared about fighting, about never giving up, about making their enemies pay for every centimeter of ground, every life, every moment. They had found many things in their exploration of the galaxy. They had found species who were stronger, smarter, more advanced. They had defeated them all, but they had never found a species with this kind of spirit, this absolute refusal to accept defeat. Made a decision that would change the history of the galaxy. "Order the fleet to withdraw," he said quietly. Stared at him in disbelief. "Commander." "You heard me, all ships. Retreat to the edge of the system, now." The fleet pulled back. On Earth, people watched in confusion and then in growing joy as the alien ships moved away from their planet. Cheers erupted across the world. Strangers hugged each other in the streets. Tears of relief and triumph flowed freely. But knew this was not over. He looked at the blue planet one last time before giving the order to return to space. "Tell the Emperor," he said tell him that Earth is not to be touched, ever." "What reason shall I give?" Was silent for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was heavy with something No had felt in 12,000 years, fear. "Tell him that we have finally found a species we cannot break. Tell him that humanity is not prey. They are predators, and today we woke them up. The Empire from human space entirely. They marked the region around Earth with warning beacons. The message was simple: stay away, do not engage, do not provoke." And in the centuries that followed, as humanity spread across the stars, as they built their own empire among the distant worlds, they never forgot those first two words. The words that had announced their arrival to a galaxy that had underestimated them. "We're coming." It was not a threat. It was a promise that humanity would never be slaves, never be conquered, never stop fighting for their freedom and their future. The galaxy had many ancient powers, many proud empires, many species who considered themselves superior. They all learned the same lesson eventually. Never underestimate humanity, because when humans say they are coming, they mean it, and nothing in the universe can stop them.